Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video I want to talk about my Omega Seamaster 300M. And as you can probably tell from the title, the thesis of this video is that this old reference might actually be better than the new reference. Now, I purchased this watch a few months ago and I'm so happy about it, and I'm pleasantly surprised by the watch. And in fact, I'm so pleasantly surprised that I decided to make this video. Now let's talk some facts first of all. Which reference is this? This is actually the reference number 2552.80, and it's the so-called small, or I think it's officially called the mid-size 300M, Diver 300M. Mid-size, meaning this actually comes in at 36 millimeters in diameter, and it is also a very slim case. It actually measures less than 11 millimeters in thickness, as you can tell from this angle. And that's already the first very important point that actually makes this watch feel superior to the new Omega Seamaster, which I will probably cut in right now. Now, the new Omega Seamaster only, or that is the Seamaster Diver 300M, only comes in at 42 millimeters, and it has a bit of a hefty thickness that is measuring in at 13.56 millimeters. So it's really a chunky watch. However, the design of the Omega Seamaster, of this neo vintage reference, this is actually a watch from 1999. This design is still very similar, and you can already pick up the special design cues of the Diver 300M, especially the helium escape valve here at 10 or between 10 and 11 o'clock. Also, the very prominent bezel shape that is typical for the 300M, and of course the very nice wave dial. But that is also a very important difference to the new model. As you can tell, the wave dial on this watch is actually very subtle, while the new wave dial is much more prominent and you can see the waves way better. The waves are also finer in this reference, or on this reference, and that actually reminds me of the new models that, for example, these special editions, like for example the Bond edition for the so-called 60 years of James Bond. I'm a huge Bond fan, so I really dig this design, and I wish that had the same case back, but unfortunately you can't see the movement, or you can of course also not see the cool animation that the 60 years of James Bond, the anniversary model, actually has to offer. Nevertheless, this watch also features the same, or more or less the same, bracelet. The clasp is a fold over clasp that is that feels very good and is well made. And here is the typical imprinting telling you which model you actually have, the Seamaster Professional model. The clasp is very similar to the modern clasp with only small differences. This clasp and the whole sturdiness of the watch in general also makes this a better watch, in my opinion, than Rolex models of the 90s and early 2000s. This feels way more stable and timeless, in my opinion, or at least sturdy than these Rolex models, and that at a very attractive price. I paid 2,000 euro for this one without box and papers, but I didn't really mind too much since I wanna keep this watch anyway. And it came in a perfect condition. You can see that this perfect condition was already a bit destroyed by me in the last months. You can see some scratches on the bezel, but I have to say the bezel is really prone to scratches. It happens very fast. Now, talking about the movement, the new Omega Seamaster Diver 300M has to offer a better movement than this one. The new one obviously has the METAS certified master chronometer movement, while this only features an ETA movement, the 1120, and Omega obviously built upon this ETA movement, and then they called the movement 1120. It's actually an ETA 2892 that has like 40 hours of power reserve, and it runs actually very nicely. You can see if you look very closely that this is a certified chronometer, but the real deviation is actually this error of margin is actually the margin of error is actually very small. I achieve like around 1 or 2 seconds a day of deviation, which is pretty nice. And the movement also allows this watch to be that thin and to really wear nicely on my wrist. Now, as you might know, my wrist is rather small. It comes in at 16.5 centimeters, and I think this watch really fits my wrist perfectly. I dig the look of the new Seamaster, and I also like it on a rubber strap, but I can't really pull it off. That again leads me to the opinion that this old reference is actually the better watch, at least if you compare the prices as well. As I mentioned, the new Seamaster costs 6,500 euros, and I mean that's a pretty hefty price for the watch you're getting. Now you could obviously say, well, for a Rolex Submariner you pay around 10,000 euro, but then again Omega raised their prices a lot, and it's also always a question where you came from. So Rolex started at a higher price point and they slowly climbed up with the prices, and Omega actually went faster or raised their prices in a faster manner than Rolex did. Now, my conclusion is that if you are very interested in like elegant smaller divers, this is a watch to consider. Are there any points that are bad or things that I dislike? Yes, actually one thing. Now maybe two. The first thing is that this watch is very prone to scratches, especially the bezel. I really like this look of the bezel. I also like the new Tudor, or rather new Tudor, that came in 37 millimeters. That was the Black Bay with the very bright blue dial. I really like this design, and it also has this kind of aluminum bezel, but they lack some kind of protection. And as you know, the new Omega Seamaster has a ceramic bezel insert that really protects it very well. And the second thing is also about the bezel. I will try to show you now, and it's actually using the bezel. There's a bit of okay. If you try to use this bezel, you will see that you really struggle while using it. It is actually very hard to grip. The sound it produces is very nice, and now I actually can use it pretty well. But whenever your fingers are a little wet or maybe a bit greasy or anything like this, it is really difficult to actually use this bezel. Now you can obviously say, well, you don't use it that often and it's not that important, but well, from time to time you just want to do it for fun, and then it's quite hard. So I hope this video might be useful for any of you, or maybe some of you think about buying this one, and I wish you a nice day. Please tell me down in the comment section below if you have the same opinion as me, or if you actually prefer the new model. And I'm also very keen on your tips, or tips on improving my content. And also please like and subscribe to my channel. More videos will come in the future. Have a nice day, guys.